let's turn that into so your mindset, but your mindset was hard to probably shift at that early age because I want to talk about tradition, right? What you learn from family members, whether it's your siblings, your parents, your aunts, your uncles, right? It's I think that really helps shape people in the early years and starts to have people become who they are. And as you become the young adult, you have to kind of look back. So talk to me about tradition. I'm sure there's a lot of great positive things your family has taught you, but what are some of the things you wish they could have taught you?
Well, it's called core belief, and that's passed down. And if no one in that time has stepped out the box and says, "Hey, I'm gonna create this, I'm gonna do that," the majority of my family core belief was go to work, pay bills, and die. And at an early age, I realized that's not me. That's not me. I can't do that. I'm not gonna just, I'm not knocking anyone working for 30, 40 years and, straight with one company or period, but for me, I felt that I had to do something different. I wanted to be someone else and leave an example for my great great grandkids that I will probably never even meet. So the tradition of me growing up was, it was very simple. I saw it every day. Mom left at a certain time, came back at a certain time. Dad left at a certain time, came back at a certain time. And my dad worked at one place for 30 years, and he talked about the same son of a bitch every day he came home.
Right, right.
So it's just this one coworker that, and I was bouncing around from job to job, and my dad said, "Hey, man, keep one job because you're not gonna like everyone, and so you leave this job, you go to another job, and you're not gonna like a person over there." So but Pops had a hustle, on the weekends. He mowed grass. He was a mechanic, so he did a lot of work and things of that nature. But that's what I picked up. My uncle worked at the same place 30, 40 years. He did carpet on the weekend. That's what I picked up. That's what I saw.
So, which is not, like you said, not a bad lesson. They had the security, and that's why people stick it out with their jobs. They'll stick out that 10, 15, 20, 30 years for the security of that check because they know they got to take care of the family. They got to feed them, pay the mortgage or rent, and just it's basic. And then you do a side hustle. But what do you, in your experience, what happens with that side hustle money? What do they do with that?
Well, back in the day, in my parents' era, my father, he gave this check to my mom. So he had to have that side hustle.
Right. Got to keep mama happy.
Yeah, got to keep mama happy, So, in that era, like I said, they worked hard and, like and growing up, I seen people birthday, they, like, "Man, I thought today was your birthday." I was like, "Yeah." "Oh, you came to work?" My father went to work on his birthday.
Yeah.
You wake up and you sneeze. I seen my dad sweating. I don't know what his fever was. He went to work.
Right.
So I definitely got that work ethic from my father, my grandfather, and my uncle, man. They worked. And like I said, I used to listen to them. I used to pay attention because my mind is like a sponge, In today's world, they call it ear hustling. So I did a lot of that growing up. And I always wanted my own thing. I always wanted my name. I just wanted to see it, Harvey Perry, president, CEO, things of that nature. So that fueled me to, to start doing my own thing. And, I made a lot of mistakes because I actually jumped into business without even understanding how business works, as dealing with taxes and things like that. So I've made a lot of mistakes,
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, learning curves. I always say it's okay to fail, right? As long as we learn from our failures. And so I've learned over my career is, hey, I didn't mind failing. Yeah, let's fail. I just learned. I'm not going to do that again. And I also like learning from other people's failures. Again, I'm the same, right? I would watch. Oh, that guy did that. That didn't work out. I ain't doing that. You know what I mean? And so as long as we all can learn from our little failures as we're going through life, don't beat yourself up because failures are a good thing. They actually are a really, really good thing when you fail at something, as long as you learn something from it. So the people who fail and don't learn anything, you lost. You lost. But you don't lose at failure if you learned something from it. So it sounds like, okay, you were the typical kid growing up, watching your parents work hard, come home, get a little side hustle going. Um, what do you think you've learned today? Again, you always got that ear open. I know you, to make a couple extra bucks. That do you think it would be advisable for the folks that are out there and they've got their jobs and which pay just enough for the lifestyle to sustain, but they go get a side hustle, right? And no one's talking to them about doing what? Investing. Talk to me about when did the light bulb of investing really go off in your head and you said, you know what? Let's get my money to work instead of me. When did that light bulb go off?
Actually, a few years ago, but I've always knew about it. I mean, because I grew up in the inner city, but I was blessed to have friends who parents owned hotels, casinos. So I've seen wealth. Like when I drove limousines for over 20 years, I was never starstruck. I mean, because I've grew up in Vegas and I've seen, how the wealthy live. And it just inspired me. And I was like, how did they get that? How did they do that? So it's really true, man, that you have to pay yourself first. Say if you're making 100,000 in today's world, most people, if they're making 100, they living like they make 150, 175. So I've learned that, I'm gonna try to invest at least 25% of, my net income. I don't live beyond my means. I've done that in the past. So, I understood that I had to put something away and understanding mutual funds or, Roth IRAs, even playing the stock market right now, by being in Vegas, I recently got into Republic Services, things of that nature, bought
Right.
some stock.
Well,
So,
you're absolutely right. So for the people that are out there and you find yourself in your, early 50s or what have you, and you haven't really done what you're supposed to do, you just mentioned that now you're putting away 25%. Well, you're forced to put away that much versus
mhm.
if you would have started back in your early 20s putting 5% away, right? You today, with the rule of 72 compounding would apply, you'd be sitting on a big fat nest egg, right? So, but it's again, as we talked in the beginning, it's never too late, and you always have to start sometime, right? Um, what do you think at this point? Because you're an entrepreneur, and like me, I mean, I work because I love to work. I still need to work. Um, what are your aspirations in investing? What do you really want to get into? Where do you want to park money? Where do you want to see your money grow?
Definitely into real estate, especially, again, I always going to go back to being here in Vegas and my parents' house. I think they paid 26,000 for it. And right now, as is like 165.
Right.
So people are always going to need somewhere to live and stay. You know, most people who are successful from entertainment or sports, one of the things that they get involved in is real estate. Most people come back to real estate, to be honest with you, and just my opinion, Oprah's, we can go on and on and on.
Yeah, no, you're
And
100% correct. Because out there, people either go down the path of trying to become wealthy using real estate as the vehicle, or they go down the path of the stock market,
all
right?
right,
And there are some people that will dabble in both, but usually you'll pick one or the other, and then down the road you may start doing both. And they're both great ways, but either way, direction you want to go, we have to educate ourselves on how to play that game, right? Just like I share that, you know, financial literacy is nothing more than learning the rules of money in life. And like any game we ever played in our life, at 6 or 7 years old, you learn how to play checkers, and then you
all
learn
right,
how to play Monopoly, and you can't beat your opponent if you don't truly understand that game. Would you agree?
correct.
And so that's the same thing in life, and unfortunately in school, right? When you get through high school, you don't learn it. And I even talk to a lot of educated people that have degrees and this, that, and the other thing, but they still didn't learn financial literacy.
Right,
And it's not how much money you make, right? It's how much money you keep. That's what Warren Buffett says. It's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. And then as far as keeping that money and putting that money to work, right? So here we are finding yourself, man, I got to start to put away close to 25% because now time isn't on our side, that we're in our 50s. Would you agree?
oh,
But
100%.
but it's not too late, right? I want the people out there to understand, one, you're not giving up. And you already mentioned how many people that you know start to get at this age, and if they haven't made it, they're like, now I'm just waiting that 6 or 7 years till I hit 62 and start get that monthly government check, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't even think about that stuff. I'm not dependent on none of that.
No.
You know, and people got to understand, those who are listening, man, this is a great time to be alive, because let's go back to our childhood. You know, the technology, you can Google anything. You can learn how to do anything right now. I mean, as we sit here, we are putting ourselves in position to help others, you know, being transparent and being honest, you know, because like I said, man, this is a great time to be alive with the technology, and you know, to learn anything you can learn, but you have to be willing to learn.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. If you want to watch the whole podcast episode, then go ahead and click right here. Okay. Do me a favor. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you want to hit the notification bell, you'll get notified every time we release a new video out for you, whether it's the clip or the whole podcast. So hope you get a lot of value, and I'll see you guys on the next one.